I guess over the past few years, there has been kind of a slight resurgence of post-punk bands. It's still kind of a tiny pocket of bands, but like you said, bands like Savages and bands like Proto-Martyr are kind of in the same zone. And I feel like it's still a small pocket, and I'm glad that that kind of guitar-based rock music is still, it's struggling to stay afloat. It's staying afloat, but it's struggling to stay afloat. And I don't know what's in store as far as that kind of music goes. It feels like rock music is kind of dying out and bands are just kind of dying out, especially in North America. It seems like the interest is waning. And I don't know how it is over here, but hopefully we'll get back on the up and up. There was never really any pressure other than the pressure we put on ourselves to change the band name. And the only time it ever really affected us was when we were having protests at our shows. And these weren't protests by like nerdy white kids on Twitter. It was like Vietnamese, people of the Vietnamese community who came over to the US as refugees. And they were kind of rightfully angered by it and offended. And I don't know, it just wasn't worth fighting for us. And people kind of got in our face, I guess, about it because we took our time to change the band name. But a lot of the reason why we took so long was because we didn't want to choose a band name that would, you know, offend another minority. We wanted to put some thought into it this time. But I don't think it ever really affected the music that we were making. You know what, we didn't intend to hurt anyone's feelings. And at the end of the day, we're just a band playing music. And if your feelings are hurt, I'm sorry, but people kind of have to just get over that and realize that, you know, I guess if you don't know us, then you just don't know that we're not malicious people. Yeah, it's a strange situation to be in. It's strange. I mean, we had a lot of fun recording a lot of the tracks on this album. We recorded everything on our own, and I kind of made a conscious effort to make it hookier, I guess, just to kind of grab people's attention more. And I think on the surface, you know, if there's something that you're humming along to, or something that gets stuck in your head and you're thinking about it later on in the day, then you're more likely to go back and listen to that song for a second or third time. And we've buried a lot in those songs, so when you come back to them after you've been initially hooked, I still feel like there's layers and layers of things going on to kind of find. And that was definitely a conscious decision to make it sort of poppier sounding, but then lyrically it's definitely the darkest thing that I've written. And an ode to depression. I mean, I was definitely going through some depression at that point. So that was just kind of a product of that. That wasn't really a conscious decision. Like, I wasn't trying to make a really dark, lyrically dark record, but I definitely was trying to make it sound poppier. Yeah, I mean, we haven't really changed our approach to building songs that way. And I think the idea for us has always been to try and make a song that we'd be happy to play every single night for 200 shows a year, because that's what we have to do. And we want to make it interesting for ourselves when we're recording these songs. And if we're into it and interested in playing them, then that kind of translates over to the live show. And I think people will see that. A lot of bands, I think, are just going through the motions. They're playing the same set every single night and they're not really into it. And we try to make music that we're just going to be excited to play every single night. Well, I mean, musically, like we were saying, I think it's poppier, it's a little bit hookier. At first listen, at first glance, that's what you hear. But then if you dig deeper, yeah, lyrically it's a product of depression, and it's kind of, I always use music as a therapy, and it kind of keeps me sane. And I'm not really a dark person because of that, because I have that outlet at any given point. I can kind of put it into the writing rather than just kind of carry it and brood with it. So I kind of pump all of that negative shit into the music.